share with you about our great company and our great founders and their vision for the future, how we make money by simply doing something that we already do every week and even every day, and that is buy groceries and gas too. Another thing that we do is we refer. We go see a good movie. We go to a great restaurant. We refer, and I'm really good at that. I love to network with people. MPB, by the way, stands for My Premier Business, and MPB is the marketing arm for a company called Southeastern Grocery Delivery. It's an innovative home delivery grocery service out of Pensacola, Florida. Our CEO and founder, Gary Calhoun, along with a team of traditional businessmen, started this brick-and-mortar company approximately 3 years ago, following a trend of online grocery delivery services. The grocery delivery services at this present is just in its infancy, but it has projected growth going from $1 billion today to $85 billion over the next 5 to 10 years. And Southeastern Grocery Delivery is committed to building a national delivery system, meaning cities all over the country, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Now, there's several reasons for the growth. Number one, we all know about the aging of the baby boomers. And at present, 2.5 million baby boomers are turning 65 this year. That's 10,000 a day. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. Busy lifestyles. A lot of people go to the grocery store and they spend probably $30, $40 extra dollars in impulsive buying. I know I do. It's more convenient, more cost-effective, and increased use of the Internet and online purchases. More and more people are turning to the Internet and buying everything online. You know, why not groceries? And by the way, I think our CEO, Gary, knows a little bit about what he's talking about in regards to following a trend. He's owned his own solar company, one of the largest cellular agencies in the U.S., plus a couple of other companies that follow trends. And speaking of the phone trend, I mean, you think he did well with that. Who knew that someday a 5-year-old and an 85-year-old would own a cell phone? I know that my 85-year-old mother does, and when my son was 7, he owned one. So anyway, over the course of several months, Gary teamed up with a longtime friend by the name of Sue Pearson, who had a lot of success in several other companies prior to this one. And she told Gary, if we're going to take this, you know, around the country and it's going to work, it needs to be marketed to the rest of the United States by network marketing. And it would be most efficiently done by that one-on-one, person-to-person network marketing. So about 10 months ago, MPB was introduced, and within a very short time, we went from one associate/distributor, which was Sue, to over 65,000 plus affiliates, much to even Gary's surprise. And we're ever so grateful for Sue's insight into that. And here's the deal. We're just not building a company. We're building a culture. MPB is changing the way people shop for groceries. It's not just a fad. It's a trend. It's not going away. It's here to stay. And why is that? Because the Internet's not going away. People will continue to eat and drive. Therefore, they need our product daily. Now, MPB has 4 phases, and I'm glad to say that they're all up and running now, and I'm going to touch briefly on all 4. So if you're taking notes, you might just want to write phase 1. And phase 1 is where we refer people to Southeastern Grocery Delivery through our marketing arm, MPB, today. And we're paid nicely for our referrals. We refer all the time, as I mentioned before. We just don't get paid. Like, you know, when you go see a good movie, how many times have you referred a movie or a restaurant, and if they just gave you a little bit of, you know, residual from that, you'd be a wealthy person probably today. When you come into MPB because you told someone or someone told you about this great opportunity, they got paid, and so will you when you refer people. How it starts out is you make a one-time deposit, and the reason I say deposit is you don't lose that $200 that you're going to use to enroll with. So you make a one-time deposit of $200. That enrolls you in the program, and for that you get a $200 grocery voucher and $10 for your website for the year. That's about 86 cents a month for a website. Most companies charge, you know, $40 a month for that. You can opt to select your $200 in groceries at any time by going into your MPB Today back office. If you elect to do that before you cycle, and I'm going to explain to you what cycle is in a moment, you're going to pay the shipping on your order. So the shipping price of your groceries is the only thing that you would be out should you decide to order your groceries. Now, this is a business, so if you want to utilize the money-making aspect of it and get your gas and groceries for free, we advise you to just bank that $200 just for a little bit and find a couple of referrals so the company will pay the shipping on your groceries should you decide to do that, and you'll have some other options as well, but you'll also have the ability to make money for you and your family. Now, in MPB, you are only required to refer 2 people to start receiving compensation, only 2. At that point, and your sponsor will help you do that by following this well-thought-out, duplicatable process. You're never left alone. You're taught how to do this. You're creating a 2x2 follow-me matrix of 6 people. And the follow-me matrix means everybody that you bring in personally always follows you. You never lose anybody in your group. And the goal in phase 1 is to fill it with your own personal referrals as well as those of either your team above you or below you. You receive a $50 bonus on each of those that you purchase, each of those you personally sponsored right away. You don't have to wait. This gives you $100 back right away. So your $200 now is still there, but you've already made $100 as soon as you find your first 2 people. Then you and your sponsor either help them find 2 of their referrals who see the benefit of getting their groceries for free, or if you're a real go-getter like, a lot of people in MPB, you can fill up all 6 places yourself. And sometimes there's spillover from someone above you. But you've created what we call a cycle of 6 people. And as I mentioned before, this is a follow-me program, so everyone you bring in personally will always follow you over and over and over again. Now, your matrix of 6 has cycled and triggered a payment to you of another $100. Your cycle pays $100 minimum, up to $300, and that just depends on how many of those were sponsored by you personally. And you get $200 in groceries. Now, here's where your choice comes in. You can either order your groceries, and the company pays the shipping because you've cycled and referred your 2 people. But since our delivery is not yet available in all areas, just in Florida right now, you can only get non-perishables shipped out. So you can, instead of doing that, if you don't want to get non-perishables, you can opt for a Walmart card. And with the Walmart card, you can buy anything that Walmart and Sam's Club sells: gas, tires, prescriptions, groceries, clothes, dog food, whatever it is that you like from Walmart or Sam's Club. But for most, it makes sense to get the card right now. But that's going to change in the not-too-distant future. As you will see in a little bit, we're going to talk about that phase of our program. And as mentioned before, you then follow the person that sponsored you into the second matrix. And those of you who've already brought in from the first cycle, they follow you as well, and so on and so on. And this happens again and again. Obviously, with it being a business, the more people, we personally bring in, the more that follow you always. It never changes, and the more you bring in, the more bonus you make. Now, here's a really neat aspect to this comp plan. This is one of the things that impressed me when I got involved with MPB, is that this totally wowed me. I think it says a lot for our company, too. You never lose. You never lose. Here's why. Even if you come in and your cycle gets filled by people that in your upline and their people, you will still cycle. The only difference is your check is banked until you find your 2 in the next cycle, because you cycled, but you didn't have 2 there, and that's okay. Then when you do finally get your 2, and I think you have 60 to 90 days to do that, then you're paid for both when you complete the cycle. So you get paid for the first cycle and the second cycle. And remember, to qualify, you only need 2. So obviously, because of the Follow Me program, the more referrals you have, the more that follow you into the next matrix over and over again. After that one-time purchase, that is the only purchase you're ever required to make. And because MPB pays weekly on phase 1, you can make 2 to 3 times that in just a few days by sharing this with those you know. And we're teaching you to make money with this program, and you teach others with our help and our specialized training that we're also going to talk about in a moment. Now, that's all phase 1 that I just spoke about. Phase 2 is an escalator to leadership. When you cycle twice, which is what we just spoke about, you do that 2 times, you enter into the first level of this leadership program. And your first level is called bronze, and that's your first goal. And you begin to earn income on others under you when they cycle. And when you cycle twice and you have a team member that's also cycled twice, you move up to the second position, which is called a pearl. Now, I'm not going to go into this too deep, as this is all outlined for you in your back office and on the front of the website, so you can see all the unique details. But just as your team is working and referring and cycling over and over, you move up into the higher ranks, and you can earn anywhere from $20 to $200 on anyone under you, regardless of whether you sponsor them personally or not. And it's paid out on a monthly basis. So you've got weekly going out and you've got monthly going out so far. This is what's called an infinity coding bonus. And if you ask anyone that's ever done something like this, they know the power of infinity coding bonuses. We get paid by helping others, and when others in our group are successful, it's called the power of leverage. If you don't know anything about leverage income, it's using, instead of one person, it's the leverage of hundreds of people. And we all work together, and we're paid in width and in depth. It's like a good idea. It spreads like a virus. Now, I know there's a lot of men on the call, so I always like to apply this to fish because they kind of get that. So if you applied phase 1 to a fish and MPB, it's just a minnow comparatively. Even though it's a great way to make instant cash and groceries, it's just a minnow. Phase 2 is a trout. As you begin to cycle over and over again, you begin to build a team. It's just a larger fish. Phase 3 is what I want to talk about next. Phase 3 is a whale. It's a whale of a business. It was just introduced last week, and that is the actual online grocery delivery service available right now today in the Pensacola area. Over the next few months, there's going to be more and more introduced like this in many other cities in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. And Rob and Jack, you're going to talk a lot more about that after this call is over. They're going to do a little training on that, so I won't go into depth about that. But what I want to talk about is the massive growth of with the baby boomers turning 65. According to AARP, 2.5 million baby boomers will be turning 65 in 2011. This will be massive growth in the area of online grocery delivery. The baby boomers have always driven the market, whether it be the stock market, the housing industry, the food industry, starting with Gerber baby food. This is not going to change as they enter into retirement. Imagine with this industry expected to be $85 billion in the next few years, getting ahead of this trend and having people actually come to your website to order their groceries or phone in an order if they're not even online, which by then, I mean, more and more people are getting online every day, to be delivered to their doorstep fresh, or they can simply dial a number, click a button, and pick their order up. I think it's within like 12 hours of the next day whenever they set it up to be picked up, and you making a small portion of that every time they order. The advantages to this are tremendous, and with the high price of gas, hurried lifestyles, time is money, you know, not to mention people who cannot get out and get their groceries, whether it be bad weather, sick, or just people who love the convenience of shopping online. This is going to explode. Even the lazy people will have an advantage here. And like I mentioned before, I think I would save at least $30 just by not buying impulse items like the latest People magazine or whatever. And last but not least, definitely not least, we have phase 4, which is also a whale, and I kind of call this a humpback whale because it's just got so much extra added to this. We have the privilege of being taught how to do this business by a world-class trainer by the name of Dale Calvert. And if you've never heard of him, Google him. You'll be amazed. He's had over 30 years of experience and has developed a system of training CDs to help us duplicate this process over and over again, as well as become great leaders in our own right. Now, I can tell you that this is an optional program. We don't have an auto ship in MPB. But if you decide that you want to learn this, to do this the right way, you will definitely want to be on this program. But I will say this program is only $34 a month, which includes your tax and shipping. But don't let the low price fool you. Dale Calvert typically charges $500 an hour to teach somebody what he's teaching us with these audios, and there's a segment of them that's specifically designed for MPB. And by the way, even more amazing, this training comes with a comp plan all its own associated with it. So if you were really to play it out the way it's aligned, it's a 2x15 forced matrix. As people over the next few years come on board and receive this training by CD, you could ultimately make something like $122,000 a month if you were to max it out. Now, whether you do or whether you don't, nonetheless, you get paid to be trained. I mean, who does that? It's unheard of. And realistically, one can earn thousands of dollars on just this phase alone. But honestly, even if it didn't pay anything at all, it would still be worth more, than $34 a month because of how it's going to train you and your group. It's a very, very powerful part of this program. So here you have it, and here's what I'd like to say in closing. Friends, this is a gold mine. and we're 3 feet from gold, in my opinion. And this is where I always get emotional. So if I do, bear with me, I'm sorry. But in my opinion, I don't think there's a better opportunity out there than MPB. We have no competition. We don't need to learn how to buy name brand groceries. We have no auto ship. I don't have to check with your doctor before you shop. There's no science. There's no selling. Just sharing, just helping other people. It doesn't matter who joins. Some will, some won't. So what? At some point, everyone will hear about this, and it will be a household name like Sam's Club and Walmart are. And there are many people in MPB today making a lot of money, and many who've never made money in network marketing before are making money with this program. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, which is why we have to just get out there and tell people about it, because if you don't, someone else will. Regardless of your current situation right now, there's nothing more worthy of your time than MPB. If you see this, right after I got started, I had some major setbacks. My husband had to leave to go to Kentucky to clean up this house and clean up this area in Kentucky. I was very ill for over 3 weeks. The holidays came. It was Christmas. I moved. I went out of town for 10 days, not to mention that I have 2 children that have chronic illnesses like diabetes and asthma, and I never know when an issue is going to crop up with them. And while that slowed me down a little bit, it didn't stop me. And the reason is that this is just too much of a no-brainer to let it slip by. And only a fraction of the people who are going to join have not even joined yet. They haven't even joined. I mean, the major part of the people that are going to be making the money haven't even joined yet. So tell